Now we have to discuss some details of the phrenic nerve. Phrenic nerve. We have to discuss some details of the phrenic nerve, and you will see phrenic nerve is coming from cervical 3, 4, 5. The major value is C4. It came from the cervical plexus. As you know, diaphragm was developing in the cervical region, later descend down to the abdomen region, carrying the nerve also to the abdomen region. You know, what is the root value of diaphragm? It is developing from the cervical somite, so it is having cervical root value 3, 4, 5. Now, once you have this basic idea, let's proceed further. You have to understand, phrenic nerve comes from the anterior primary ramus of the spinal nerves 3, 4, 5 in the neck region, runs anterior to a muscle here called scalenus anterior muscle, running anterior to scalenus anterior muscle, if you remember. Phrenic nerve runs anterior to scalenus anterior muscle, and then it is running in the thorax region on the side of the mediastinum to reach the diaphragm. And it is the only motor nerve to diaphragm. You will see that it is sensory to the central portion of diaphragm, but the peripheral diaphragm is carrying the sensation carried by intercostal nerve. So intercostal nerve carry the sensation of peripheral diaphragm, and the central sensation of diaphragm will be carried by phrenic nerve. Phrenic nerve also carries sensation of the peritoneum under the central diaphragm, pericardium on the mediastinum, and pleura towards the mediastinum. So this is something which we have to draw and discuss now. You are talking about spinal segment C3, 4, 5 now? Yes. Giving some anterior primary ramus C3, 4, 5? Yes, anterior primary ramus C3, 4, 5. And that is forming the phrenic nerve? Yes, that is forming the phrenic nerve. And that phrenic nerve is now passing anterior to some muscle which you are calling as the scalenus anterior muscle. Yeah, there is a scalenus anterior muscle, and this nerve is passing anterior to that. So anterior to scalenus anterior muscle in the neck region. Yes, then you see that it is passing in front of the hilum of the lung. So there is some hilum of lung here. Yes, hilum of lung. And it is passing anterior to the hilum of lung. Yes, it is passing anterior to the hilum of lung. So anterior to the muscle and anterior to the hilum of lung. Yes. Okay. Then it is going to supply the diaphragm here. If you say it is going to supply the diaphragm, remember the diaphragm which we are showing here, say this is the diaphragm. The only motor nerve to diaphragm is phrenic nerve. So phrenic nerve is the only motor nerve. Yes, the sole motor supply to diaphragm is phrenic nerve. There is no other motor nerve to diaphragm, but diaphragm has multiple sensory nerve. Now, if you say diaphragm has multiple sensory nerve, then what are the multiple sensory nerves to diaphragm? Remember, if it is the central portion, the sensation of the diaphragm, central portion, the sensation of the diaphragm, central sensation of the diaphragm will be carried by phrenic nerve. Phrenic nerve. But if you are talking about the peripheral sensation of the diaphragm, if you are talking about the peripheral sensation of the diaphragm here in this area or here in this area, that is carried by intercostal nerves. Intercostal nerves. So intercostal nerves will carry the sensation for the peripheral diaphragm. Yes. Central portion of diaphragm sensation carried by phrenic nerve, and peripheral sensation of diaphragm carried by intercostal nerves. Now understand, there is some peritoneum under the central diaphragm, and there is some peritoneum which is towards the periphery of diaphragm. If the peritoneum is under the central diaphragm, the sensation will be carried by phrenic nerve. Peritonitis pain is carried by phrenic nerve if it is in the central. But if it is the peritonitis pain of the peripheral peritoneum, if it is peripheral peritoneum, pain is carried by intercostal nerve. Again, understand, peritonitis in the central region, pain is carried by phrenic nerve, and peritonitis in the peripheral region, pain is carried by intercostal nerves. Similarly, if you are talking about pleura, remember the pleura, which is towards the mediastinum and towards the, see, this is the mediastinal pleura, this is diaphragmatic pleura. This is mediastinal pleura, this is diaphragmatic pleura. So mediastinal pleura and diaphragmatic pleura, the pain is carried by phrenic nerve, as it is close here. But if you are talking about the pain of the pleura in the costal pleura, or this part of the, this is the costal pleura, or maybe the diaphragmatic pleura but in the periphery, then that pain will be carried by intercostal nerve. See, simple thing, peripheral pains of pleura or maybe diaphragm or maybe peritoneum is all carried by intercostal nerves. So it is the costal pleura or even the diaphragmatic pleura, but periphery is pain carried by the pleuritis, pain carried by the intercostal nerve. But if the pleura is towards the mediastinum pleura, or even the diaphragmatic pleura towards the inner side, that pain will be carried by phrenic nerve, because phrenic nerve is running there, so it will carry the pain. And the phrenic nerve also carry the pain of you see, this is the heart, and heart is covered by pericardium. So pain of the pericardium is also carried by phrenic nerve. Pericarditis pain is carried by phrenic nerve. So this is the heart covered by pericardium now. Yes. So entire pericardium. Yes, entire pericardium. Entire pericardial pain is carried by phrenic nerve. Yes. And some part of the pleura which is near the phrenic nerve, mediastinal pleura, pain is carried by phrenic nerve. Yes. And central sensation of diaphragm or central peritoneal sensation carried by phrenic nerve. Yes. What about the peripheral diaphragm or peripheral peritoneum or peripheral pleura? If it is peripheral pleura or peripheral diaphragm or peripheral peritoneum, there's intercostal nerves. That's the point. Now remember one more thing. You see that the right phrenic nerve is short and straight, and the left phrenic nerve is long and oblique. Tell me why. The left phrenic nerve is long and oblique. Because, you see, the diaphragm, dome of diaphragm is higher on the right side, pushed up by lever, and the dome of diaphragm on the left side is down, pushed down by the heart. So you're telling that right dome of the diaphragm is more superior and left dome of diaphragm is inferior? Yes. Why? Because right dome of the diaphragm is pushed up by the lever, and the left dome of the diaphragm is pushed down by the heart. So that's why which phrenic nerve will be longer? Because this dome is lower, this nerve is longer. And why it is oblique? Because this left border of the heart is oblique. Let me draw a diagram and then explain this. So let us draw the diagram. And what you are telling is that this is the heart. Yes. And you're telling the left border of the heart is more oblique. Yes. And right border is straight, vertically straight. Yes. That is the difference. And then you're telling that the right dome of the lever is higher. Yes. And left dome is lower. Yes. And then you mention that due to lever, the right dome is higher. Yes. And due to the heart, the left dome is lower. Yes, this is the right dome of the diaphragm which is higher, and then you are telling that this is the left dome of the diaphragm which is lower. Yes, because the heart is pushing it down. Yes, that's the point. And that is why you will see that when you are talking about the right phrenic nerve, say this is right phrenic nerve, and It is short and vertically straight. Whereas if you're talking about the left phrenic nerve, you will find the left phrenic nerve is actually long and oblique. Why the right is short? Because it has to reach the higher dome, and left is long because it has to reach the lower dome. Yes. And why the right phrenic nerve is vertically straight? Because the right border of the heart is vertically straight almost. And why the left phrenic nerve is more oblique? Because the left border is oblique. That's why. So left phrenic nerve is oblique and longer. Yes. And right phrenic nerve is short and more straight or vertical. Yes. This is what you have to remember. These are all MCQs. So what could be the answer to this question? As you are talking about this question, which is asking us about the phrenic nerve, what do you think is the exception? As you are searching for the exception, first of all, you can see yourself that right phrenic nerve is shorter and more vertical because right border of the heart is short and more vertical. And what about the sole motor supply to the diaphragm? Yes, it is phrenic nerve. And what about the phrenic nerve passing anterior to scalenus anterior? Not only anterior to scalenus anterior, it is also passing anterior to hilum of the lung. So this is the answer? Yes. Remember, it is the vagus nerve which passes posterior to the hilum. Now, if you say vagus nerve passes posterior to the hilum and phrenic nerve is anterior to the hilum, are you trying to say that hilum of the lung is sandwiched between the phrenic nerve anterior and the vagus nerve posterior? Yes, of course. Hilum of the lung is sandwiched between phrenic nerve anterior and vagus nerve posterior. But this statement is wrong. This is valid for vagus nerve. That is your answer. That is your answer.